Hey everyone! Here we are at Yarnia at 8 o'clock at night. Not a normal time to be here, but definitely looking forward to a fun hour with everybody. It's 8 o'clock and ready to start knitting a Flax Light by Tin Can Knits. Yeah, I'm super excited about this. This sweater has been a very long time in coming. Just to talk a little bit about the setup of this project, I guess. First, welcome to Yarnia, where Yarnia is Montclair, New Jersey's local yarn store. My name's Amanda. I'm one of the 3 partners here at Yarnia. Me and Kathleen and Jen have our regular YouTube podcast every other week, The Chronicles of Yarnia, where we bring you guys everything that we're working on, all the projects, that type of thing. And we talk about all sorts of things to do with fiber, like knitting and crocheting mainly, but also Kathleen just finished her cross stitch. Jen's brought her needlepoint and her spinning. I tried to embroider and I still need to practice that more. It's in my hibernating projects, but maybe I'll get back to it next summer. Definitely not in 2022. My queue is full. But yeah, so those come out. Goal is Saturday morning. Sometimes it's later, depending on how my editing time goes. But this is a special series that we have this every Tuesday, 8 to 9 for the next 5 weeks. And I'm going to be knitting a Flax Light sweater by Tin Can Knits for my son, Charlie. So Charlie is 4 years old. Next week, I'll bring a picture of him. I don't have one queued up this week. And I can't show you with my phone because it's my second camera here. But he is 4 years old, 4.5, really. He's a May baby, May 31st, almost a June baby. But he doesn't have a sweater that fits him right now. And I have a skein of yarn that I bought 4 years ago, maybe, specifically to make a 4-year-old sweater. It was definitely 4 years ago because that's when Eric was 4. Eric is my 8-year-old. If you follow our podcast, you'll know I just knit him a sweater, also Tin Can Knits, the Hush sweater. I knit him that sweater because he outgrew his Anker, which was his 2 years ago sweater. Anyway, basically, I tried to get a sweater to last 2 years for my boys, and then they hand them down, but there's not a 4-year-old sweater, so Charlie gets a new sweater. And I get to use this skein of yarn that I got specifically for a 4-year-old. Let's see. So what yarn am I using? And then we'll talk about the pattern. I am using this skein. I finally get to show you guys. So this is Gauge Dyeworks. Now they don't have this color available anymore. Like I said, this was 4 years ago. My plan was to knit it when I bought it, but I didn't. And so you can see that, like, you can see it better on this side. I'm not mirrored, so you guys can see me correctly this time. But yeah, so there's like colors, rainbow coloring happening here. And then there's a lot of blue. And then there's some green at the end. And basically what happens is I just knit the Flax Light pattern and the colors change. And this skein was dyed specifically to knit this sweater. So it's super fun. And we're going to see how it goes. We'll discover it together. Let's see. So that's about the yarn, Gauge Dyeworks. Once this video is not live anymore, I'll link down below to Gauge. They're a very small dyer and do like these special gradients specific for patterns, and they don't wholesale, but Jen has used them on her Musselburgh hat last year. It's really fun for a special project. But anyway, I mean, you can knit a flax or a Flax Light out of almost any yarn you want. The Flax Light is made for fingering weight yarn, which is what this one is. The flax is for worsted weight yarn, and both of those are by Tin Can Knits. This is what it looks like. It's a pretty simple right? Classic design, raglan shaped sweater, great beginner sweater. I made the Flax Light as a baby gift a while ago, like 5 years ago, for a baby gift, and it really knit up super fast. If anybody is casting on tonight, a flax or a Flax Light to knit along with me, that'll be super fun. But it is a great sort of like basic sweater. Perfect. Good pullover. All right. I see a lot of folks in the chat. I can't see the chat. I'm sort of monitoring, but I'm going to like chat and talk to everybody at the same time. I see we have folks from all over the place, from Maine, from Georgia. Yay. Hey guys, from Los Angeles and Utah. Oh my goodness, you're hitting all the places I haven't been this year. I feel like I've been everywhere else. I've been to Missouri and Idaho this year, Florida and Texas. Yeah. And yay, hey Kathleen, my partner in crime here. She's in the chat and going to be probably much more active than I will be in answering people's questions if you have questions as we go along. But I'm actually pulling on the center pole of this ball. I probably wound this yarn. No, I didn't. I just wound it recently. I did leave it in the skein until recently. Okay, let's see if I can get this out. Okay, anyway, step one, we're going to take a look at this pattern. Okay, so we have the Flax Light. Let's see, I can't really zoom in, but we can look at this together. Okay, I'm knitting the size 4 to 6 size, which is down here. The materials I need, fingering weight yarn, perfect, got it. Suggested needles, 2s and 5s. So I have those with me. You'll see what I'm using in a minute. They say for 4 years, do the extra small, you can do it on 16-inch circulars. I'm actually going to cast on my flexi flips tonight. I'm sort of skeptical that I'll be able to get the beginning of a neckband around a 16-inch circular. So I'm going to cast on flexi flips and probably do the neckband on flexi flips and then switch over to circulars as I get further in the yoke. Let's see, but you can see this is a free pattern from Tin Can Knits, which is an amazing company. You can see that's from their Simple collection. And there's a lot of instructions here at the beginning and lots of great diagrams. So at the beginning, we're going to cast on a yoke. Now, there are 2 options for casting on the there's 2 options for casting on the neckline. The first is just to start. That's this option 1 here. And option 2, you have basically you're not doing the ribbing first. You're casting on and going straight to the body of the sweater. Then you'll pick up around the collar and knit up. So yeah, you'll pick up around those stitches that you cast on and knit the neckband up, which is what I did on that's what I did on Eric's sweater. That's what Hush does. And it just gives you a little bit more stability right around the neckline. If you're, especially with the larger sizes, which of course, like adult sweaters, the more yarn you use, the heavier your sweater tends to be, right? And, you know, as that pulls, sometimes the neckband can get a little stretchy if you go straight from neckband into the sweater. I'm not worried about that with a 4-year-old because that's how heavy the sweater is going to be. So I'm not going to bother with, I'm not going to bother picking up stitches at the end. I'm just going to go straight into my knitting. Now I've been working on this center pull and finally got this pulled out, and I'm investigating what the deal is here. I think, okay, so I think this color, this aqua color, is the neckband because I see that continues for a little bit. And then we move into green, yellow, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So basically I'm going to knit the neckband and this, and then I might cut it after we do a couple rounds if I have a lot left over, because I suspect she gives me enough. She gives me enough to really play with. Okay, now let me see. Let me look at my sizes. So I'm going to count down. Boop, boop, boop. You're seeing me do this live for real. I have not read all the way through this pattern yet or highlighted anything, as you can see. Okay, so first I've got to figure out how many stitches to cast on. I see we have 0 to 6 months is outside the first parentheses, then 6 to 12. I'm looking up here at the size note, 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 6. So that's 4 to 6 is the 1, 2, 3, 4th size inside the parentheses, not in bold. So I need to cast on under option 1. I'm looking at the 1, 2, 3, 4th number, 104 stitches. Yay. All right, and now I'm going to move over here, and I have my second camera set up so you guys can see what I'm doing. Nope, up a little bit. There we go. Yay. All right, 104 stitches. That's close to 100. Let's see. And like I said, I'm using my Flexi Flips tonight in the size 2. I feel like Bob Ross telling you what paintbrush size I'm using. But I'm using my Flexi Flips size 2 right here. I love these so much. I use them for sleeves. I use them for everything. 104. A quarter of 104 is 26. So to estimate, and I use long tail cast on. So to estimate how much yarn I need for 104 stitches, I'm going to wrap my yarn around my needle 26 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. All right. So that's 26 wraps. And now I'm going to I need that 4 times. So 1, 2, 3. So yay, 4 lengths of 26 wraps is 104. So I'm going to start my long tail cast on right here. Let me boop, boop, boop. There we go. Whee. I borrowed my daughter Lily's like iPhone stand that she uses for talking to her friends all night long. Thank you, Lily. All right, and now I'm just going to cast on a bunch of stitches. And as I cast on, let me check the chat. Yay. Yay, I have endorsement from Kathleen that yes, I don't think 104 stitches are going to fit all the way around a 16-inch circular. It would if it was worsted, right? If it was worsted on like a size 8 needle, it probably fit around a 16-inch circular, because that sounds like about as many stitches as you need. Yeah, as you need to do a hat, right? I feel like I've done a hat with 100-ish stitches. Boop. Uh-oh. I think I'm paying attention to you guys and not me. I'm going to take those 2 off. All right. Hey, Ida. You say you're a little confused. Tell me what you're confused about, because I got a lot of stitches to cast on. And this is the perfect time. Ah, how many do you cast on if you want to make the adult size? So which size of the adult size? So if you look under size notes at the top of page 2, right? I'm gonna look at my PDF as I look at this. So at the top of page 2, there's or is that 2 or 3? JK, that might be page 3. the place where they have the sketch of like the collar and all that stuff, how the back and the front are made. There's a size note and it tells you what order all the sizes are in. So, for example, or you can see like all the child sizes are in plain text and all the adult sizes are in bold text, right under that size note. And you just count which number your size is in either bold or plain text. So like I said, the 4 to 6 years, if I started the first parentheses, the 0 to 6 month is outside the parentheses. So then the 6 to 12 month is the first size in the parentheses. 1 to 2 years is the second size in the parentheses. 2 to 4 is the third size in the parentheses. And 4 to 6 is the fourth size in the parentheses. So through the whole pattern, every time I'm going to find my instructions for size 4 to 6, I'm going to look at the not bolded text, the fourth one in the parentheses. If I was doing this from a printed pattern, which normally I do, I take a highlighter and before I even cast on, every single time there's a parentheses, I'm going to highlight my number. So I don't have to think about it and count, because Lord knows when I'm doing this on the train or a plane or an automobile, I'm going to count wrong and I'm going to like totally, put the wrong number of stitches on the back of my sweater and put my armhole in the wrong place. That's never happened before. Oh my goodness. Let's see. All right. So, there we go. I was looking at the Zoom. Okay. I'll pay attention to where I am in the camera. All right. So I cast on a whole bunch of stitches here. I'm getting sort of like within an inch and a half of my ends. So I have 104 stitches. I'm going to transfer 52 to the other needle. Maybe I am. Okay. And this is where I have to count, which is not the most exciting part of this video. My kids are very good. They don't like start saying random numbers when I'm counting, which I appreciate a whole lot. In my head, that's what I always start. My inner voice starts saying random numbers, which isn't very nice. That's the other thing I like about casting onto DPNs, whether it's socks, which I cast onto 3 DPNs, or like this where I cast onto flexi flips, is I don't have to count to 104. I just have to count to 52 twice. Go over there. Making sure I'm sort of staying in the video over here. You see me well enough? There we go. I'll zoom in a little more. Yeah, Kath, at least glance through the pattern. How many times have I started and I get a little bit in and realize, oh, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. So does anybody else have sweaters queued up for the rest of this year? I have this one. Kathleen reminded me today we have a December sweater that we're going to knit together. More info to come. I'm really looking forward to that. I don't think it'll take super long. And I just promised somebody on a sweater. So I don't know if you watched the last podcast all the way to the end, but I was dancing last weekend at the Fred Astaire National Dance Competition in Orlando. And hold on, let's see how many stitches I have, then I'll continue my story. It's a good story, but there's sweater promises involved. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I gotta put some back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9, go back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There we go. All right, 52 on that one. Probably got about 30 on this one so far, right? Yeah. All right, proceeding with this. Okay, so I was at the Fred Astaire International Dance Comp. If you wanted to see me dance, it's at the very end of our last podcast. There's Abby is there too. Abby got first place. So the way that that a competition works is there's a lot of heats of just single dances. So you'll dance like a Viennese waltz, and then you'll dance a foxtrot, and then and each one is like a heat, like swimming or running, right? Like it's a 1-minute dance. And the judges are, scoring 8 to 12 people on the dance floor. So at the end of all the individual heats, you have 2 bigger competitions that are the championship and the scholarship. So for the championship, you get an award and a prize, and like, there's, and then the scholarship, if you win that, you get like a free lesson or something like that. That's why it's a scholarship, right? Your prize is more lessons. So Abby won her division championship and the scholarship because, yeah, she is quite a good little junior in the junior division. So then in the international standard competition, I came in 4th twice, which was quite annoying because 1st through 3rd brings home a medal, and I got 4th twice. Once in the championship and once in the scholarship. And then in the American Smooth, which was Thursday, we did the championship, and there were 22 couples competing in the championship. And they had a quarterfinal, 12 were selected, a semifinal, 6 were selected for the final, and then those were the top 6 places. I got cut at the quarterfinal. I didn't even make it to the semifinal. I'll tell you more after I count 52 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46. Am I good or what? I have 1 extra stitch. Ta-da! Yay. So see, using that little trick, I actually have plenty of extra from here to here, plenty of extra yarn. Don't run out, but it's not like exorbitant amounts. And I always tie up the ends of my yarn in like a little, I don't know, sort of like a little bow. so that I don't actually accidentally knit with it. Okay. Continuing the dance story. So for the scholarship, I wasn't expecting to win either, because like it's very competitive. We're at nationals. I was mostly there to support Abby and hang out with her and have fun. But I was teasing my dance partner. I told him, like, hey Tim, if we get in the finals, I'll knit you a sweater, because he's been dying for a sweater for like, you know, I don't know, 4 years. He's been asking me for a sweater, which is sort of presumptuous to ask for a sweater, if you know what I mean. And a long one, right? Like a long sweater. I'm like, bruh. But anyway, he's been dying for a sweater. So I told him, hey, Tim, if we get in the finals, I'll knit you a sweater. Came in 5th. I got in the finals. So now I have to knit him a sweater. So yay. So now I have another sweater commitment. Oops. So that'll be fun. That'll be my January project, though. I'm not going to start on it this year. And I think I'm going to knit him the Franca by Coco Knits, Julie Weisberg, Weisberg, you know what I mean, Coco Knits. Yeah, because I've knit that before. It's sort of, it's the style he wants. It fits amazing. Can't beat far, right? And you knit it on a 9. So if I'm going to knit a long sweater for a dude, I'm going to knit it on a 9. Okay. Now I have 52 stitches on each needle. That's 104 total. Let's look at our pattern again. What's the next instruction? Okay. I'm looking at option 1. Using smaller circular needles. That's my double points, because we're not doing circulars. Cast on 104 stitches. Place beginning of round marker. If I was knitting in the round, I would have to have a beginning of round marker, but since I have 2 double points, the beginning of the double point is my beginning of round. And join for working in the round. Okay, establish 1 by 1 ribbing. We're going to knit 1, purl 1 all the way around. And then we're going to do that, work in the ribbing for 1 inch. Da da da. Great. I love 1 by 1 ribbing. Let's see. We are going to make sure not to twist these stitches. Okay, so I've got my double points lined up. I'm being super careful that all of the cast on bumps are on the bottom, right? Like it's all these bumps on the cast on are on the bottom, stays on the bottom to cross the other side, and stays on the bottom here. I flip them over and I keep it like that. Okay, my yarn is coming from my front needle and I'm knitting onto my back needle. Does that make sense? Sometimes I have to think about these things. Nope, I think I want my yarn to come off my back needle and go to my front needle. That would make more sense. It would be more comfortable. Okay, cool. So these guys are all lined up. Yarn's coming off my back needle on my front needle. Kathleen's probably rolling her eyes. Of course it comes off your back needle and onto your front needle. I don't know. Do you guys forget things too? Like basic things? You get into it, you're like, wait, does that make sense? Then I'm just going to knit, purl, all the way around. Knit. Especially when you're saying it out loud, you're like, do I do this? Is that what I'm supposed to do? Knit, purl, all the way around. That's it. Knit, purl. And as you can see, I knit continental. That means I'm tensioning my yarn over my left finger. And I pull it through with my needle on the right hand. I switched over to this style just about 6 months before we opened Yarnia. For that, I was a self-taught combination knitter. And I was actually twisting my knits on one side and untwisting them because I knit my pearls. I wrapped my pearls backwards on the other side, so my stockinette looked great. I knit all my knits through the back loop. I didn't know anything was wrong. It looked fine to me until I started reading my first lace pattern, and I was like, and knit through the back loop, and I'm like, what? It doesn't make quite as much sense. I'm like, but I do that already. So I figured it would probably help my knitting to learn a standard method, so I didn't have to sort of relearn every stitch or figure out an alternate method to do every stitch. I could just knit it in a standard way. I still use my thumb to help on the pearls, which not everybody does. Beep, beep. Kathleen, you're fighting with twisted stitches. Are you twisting on the pearls or on the knits? And that's one thing about learning how to knit combination is knitting through the back loop feels so natural. So anytime I have to knit through the back loop, no problemo. Yeah, that's the thing about like doing this live. I guarantee we will have mistakes in this sweater. I will do something wrong. Woohoo! I must have had 52 because I ended this row on a pearl. Clue number 1, that I have an even number of stitches. Winning on the first needle. Okay, now come on, guys. Point down. Let's move along. Getting all these guys to squish to the other side of the needle. This first row, knitting off your cast on, is always sort of like the most awkward, I think. I did consider doing a tubular cast on this, but then I thought, this is for a 4-year-old. No, it's going to be his play sweater too. I mean, it's certainly a nice sweater, and it'll be preserved and all that kind of stuff. I keep my sweaters, the sweaters that I make for the boys, I keep them, and Abby too, but she doesn't have anybody to hand it down to really because it's just her. Although she has a hand-me-down sweater from Lily that was from yarn that I got at my first wool walk. I don't know if Kathleen remembers the first wool walk that I went to was with her. And at the first yarn shop we went to, they had some bright green yarn, hand-dyed yarn in the sale section, which as a store owner now, I understand, because that is a color that doesn't move much, as much as some like turquoise or gray is not what you're going to have a sweater quantity left over of. But that happened to be Lily's favorite color, so perfect. I picked it up and made her, what did I make her? Well, it was a cardigan anyway, an Aran cardigan. And now Abby wears it. And it's great. So this one will get a lot of playtime from 2 boys at least, Charlie and Teddy. And while I would have liked to have made it for Eric to begin with, Oh, well, life happens. Actually, probably what happened was Charlie was born and I got distracted and didn't make Eric his sweater. That is probably what happened. Sorry, Eric. He's got some other good sweaters. Yay. Let's see. All right, I went all the way around and I didn't twist my stitches. Everything is on correctly. And now I'm just going to knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl for several rows. All right, this is when I'm going to have more stories. Because there's not much to talk about. I mean, there's not much to talk about for knit, purl for the next 7 rows. And I think it's 7 rows because when I checked the gauge of this sweater, right, it's 24 stitches and 32 rows to 4 inches. So if I'm supposed to knit an inch on the collar, well, if it's 32 stitches to 4 inches, that means it's, or 32 rows to 4 inches, that means it's 8 rows to 1 inch. So about 8 rows. Should be about how much this collar is. Yeah, so my plan for I see Wendy and Kathleen, you guys are talking about what the plan is. Yeah, my plan is to sort of section up this sweater and knit, you know, a new part of it every week. So this week I'm casting on and doing ribbing. We may finish, we may get to the end of this collar because, like I said, it's only 8 rows. So I'm done with 1.5 here. If we get to the end of the collar, I might set up raglans this week, in which case I'm going to have to find stitch markers because I didn't actually plan that far ahead. I brought the right needles. But then certainly if I don't do it this week, then next week we will set up raglans. And setting up a raglan. So if you look at the Flax Light sweater, the collar is a circle, right? I'm knitting a circle right now. But as we get into this part of the sweater, there are 4 lines that emerge coming here. Oh my goodness. Here from the shoulder to the armpit, here from the shoulder to the armpit, and then the same on the back, right? So you basically have front section that's like a trapezoid, I'll show you on this side, 2 sleeves that are trapezoids here, right? Narrower at the top and then wider on the back, and then the same thing on the back, a trapezoid. So all of because obviously this circumference here is bigger than this circumference here, and we've got to get somehow from small circumference to big circumference. That means adding stitches. In a circular yoke sweater, which is like, here, I'll show you what a circular looks like. Circular yoke sweater looks like this. This is Teddy's little baby onesie. But in this sweater, all the increases are made evenly all the way around. They're actually built into the pattern, right? This colorwork pattern, where the increases are. So it's done evenly all the way around, and you have a smooth circle from the top to the bottom. There's no trapezoid. It's just a circle. In a raglan sweater, we do increases only on those 4 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And that makes 4 increased lines on our sweater. And that's just called raglan shaping as opposed to round yoke shaping. And if you go look at sweaters in your closet, if you haven't done this before, you'll start saying like, oh, this is a raglan, right? Like this is a round yoke, because you can start seeing how those different sweaters were constructed. Yeah. This one that I'm wearing tonight, I don't know if you can see it in the light, is a raglan. It's got these, it's a ribbed sweater, and it's got like lines in the ribbing up here. Yep. Yeah, exactly. If I need markers, I'll have to raid the cocoa nuts cabinet. I actually should anyway, because I think I'm running low on, well, I have, if you don't know cocoa nuts markers, stitch markers, you will see them either at the end of this episode or at the beginning of the next episode. But they are delightful little metal stitch markers that are super smooth. They're like enamel coated. So they're metal on the inside and enamel coated, which means they can be attracted to magnets, which is very convenient when you're either storing them in the little magnetic case, or if your kids have dumped them all over the floor and you're trying to pick them up. I have used my, I don't know if you're a sewist. I'm not a very good sewist, but I do sew my own project bags sometimes, or I did years ago, and now I have zero time. And we have such good makers that make project bags. Like my project bag for this is my pea pods, which we have some Notions bags of pea pods, but I think we're out or very close to out of project bags of theirs. We're just chit-chatting tonight about getting more bags in for the holidays, but like I love them so much. When this unicorn and rainbows came in, right? How could you not get unicorns and rainbows? Anyway, so I'm not so good at sewing my own project bags anymore, but I have several of them that I made myself. Oops, I'm holding my yarn up higher than leaving it down here. What was I talking about? Oh, magnets. Yeah. But if you're a sewist, you have those pin cushions, the magnetic pin cushions. Yeah, those are also very convenient for picking up stitch markers that your kids have dumped and played on the floor and sorted by color and mixed up the opening ones with the not opening ones, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, on our December pattern, yeah, Kathleen's explaining in the chat how we all love this cotton merino glam. Here, it's like literally right here. And I've got the lights on here so you can actually see it better than you can on the website. See how it sparkles? It's got like, so when we got this before it was even out yet, and we were seeing it from our, from the, this way, from the vendor, we all were like, oh, holiday sweater. So, and plus it's like a big gauge, so it'll be a fast sweater. But yeah, we haven't decided on a pattern yet. We might do different ones. I'm sort of into like more fitted cardies right now. I don't have a lot, and I think that would look good in my wardrobe, be cute for the holidays. So, and Jen is anti-negative ease. So that might present a problem. Yay. I'm getting some length on this collar. Good plan. Yeah. I wonder, I gotta try that. Put the nozzle. Dory's idea is to pick up all my stitch markers or other things. I'm wondering if this works on Legos. Put pantyhose over the nozzle of your uh vacuum cleaner, suck it up. That sounds like a good plan. So the other thing I've got to start on as I continue working on these, how many rows do I have here? I have 3 so far. Yeah. The other thing that you'll see me working on over the next few weeks is my mom has, and I'll talk about this too in our next podcast for sure. My mom has put in a request for a Christmas present. And usually I don't take requests, but this time it's eminently achievable. So sure. So she has her mom, my grandmother, who, I knit that little lap blanket out of sugar bush bold for her about a year and a half ago. She actually passed away this summer. This past summer, she was a great lady, but she crocheted. I've showed her mom's crochet blanket during one of our pandemic videos. I have one that she made as well that was bright pink acrylic yarn, which I treasure and would not put on my bed, but I'm very happy to have it. But the other thing she used to make, which my mom loves, was dish towels that had like crocheted toppers on them. So you can like put them around the little, handle on your oven or your refrigerator and have your dish towel right there. My mom loves them. And the ones that her mom made are wearing out after years of use. So she has asked specifically for crocheted toppers on some dish towels, and she got the dish towels that match her kitchen that she likes, and I've got to get some yarn and crochet tops on them. And she sent me also like some samples, some ones she has that she'd like me to copy. So I've got to reverse engineer these dish towel toppers. So this may turn into a blog post. If you're interested in a blog post on how to reverse engineer these little quick dish towel toppers, let me know. I might do that. But I'm thinking the Comfort Chunky will be perfect for those little toppers on cotton towels. It's bulky weight. It's 100% polyester, so it'll hold up for years of abuse. And then I'll have to find a plastic button or resin or something that can go through the wash over and 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 over. And put those together. So that will be my project concurrent with this one, I think. A little reverse engineering. But I think, honestly, those are going to be like 2-day little projects once I figure out what I'm doing. It might take me 10 hours to figure out what I'm doing. But then after that, they should be like super fast 3-hour projects. let's see. Mhm. 4. Do you guys get requests for holiday knitting, or do people just not request? I'm on the fence whether I prefer the requests or whether I prefer to like guess what people would like. And in some ways, right, it's better to get the request because then you know that what you're making is something that the person would really like. But in other ways, sometimes people don't know like how much work the stuff is that they request. Um, and then it's hard to say no once you've asked them, what do you want? So, but I appreciate it because my mom lives in Alabama and doesn't wear wool socks and doesn't wear scarves and hats. I'd never owned a hat to wear outside until I moved to New Jersey, right? They don't have as much, and she's not a shawl wearer, so she doesn't really care about that. But she does come up with like things that I would never have thought of to knit and give her. I don't know if you remember, were we podcasting then? I don't know if that was before or after the Chronicles of Yarn. It might have been the first Christmas, so we celebrate Christmas, that the Chronicles of Yarnia was on. But my mom wanted a tea cozy. So I found a really cute little swirl tea cozy pattern and made it for her. Because she has a book group, then and they like go house to house, you know, and each person hosts, I guess, every 6 months or so. Um, so she wanted a little tea cozy for her teapots. Which I was like, well, that's helpful to know. Ha! Good job, Jazzy. I need to, well, sometimes I can say no. When it for the past 4 years, when it's been my dance instructor asking for a sweater, I've been pretty good at saying, ha ha ha, no. But that one I brought on myself. And he's been a great coach. And I definitely wouldn't be the dancer I am without my coach. And so he deserves one. This is going to be the second man's sweater I've ever knit. The first one was for my dad. This is going to be my second one. I think I might end up with 2 next year. I already have Rhinebeck plans for next year. If you have gentlemen to knit for, you'll have pattern ideas if you watch Chronicles of Yarnia. Oh. I love how little collars emerge. Yay. How are we doing here? So I'm counting loops. I don't know, how close can I get up? Ah, pretty close. Good. Okay. Ooh, this way. Here. Here we go. So sorry, my screen is not mirrored, which makes it hard to. So this first V, right under the line of the cast on is part of the cast on. That I don't count as a stitch because that is the loop of my long tail cast on. So the second stitch is actually the second, the first row is the second set of V's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've done 5. But 3 more. in general. And if you notice from my podcast knitting, I tend to knit either for myself or for my kids, and I rotate through my kids. So last year, 2 years ago, Beth got a sweater. I knit her a sweater out of the Luminosa. I actually knit that sweater twice. I knit her a first sweater out of Luminosa. That was the cover sweater from Vogue. That was not well proportioned for her. And she brought it back, and I knit her another sweater that was a better choice for that yarn. Then I knit a sweater for Lily. It's been a long time since I knit a sweater for Catherine. She hasn't asked for one. I knit her one when the store first opened. She ended up getting the Sugar Bush Glaze, which was a sparkly cotton tape yarn that we had just for a hot second when we first opened. But that was a pink sparkly sweater with like a big cowl neck, and it was a little bit off the shoulder, so that was perfect for her. But yeah, she basically steals my clothes, so if I knit for myself, I'm knitting for her. At least she did when she lived in the house with me. Now maybe not so much. Not from Connecticut. She can't take my clothes. So then I knit. Teddy can fit into the green cabled Harriet sweater. That was a beautiful sweater. Where's Harriet? Oh, it's right in front of me. I knit Teddy. No, it's, yes, it is. Huh. Oh, there's a skein in the wrong place. I knit Charlie a sweater out of this yarn in like a green, not an olive green, but like a medium green, the little brownish heathery in there. The heavily cabled sweater, and now that fits Teddy, and it's adorable. And then this one is for Charlie, and I finished Eric's sweater, although I haven't woven in the ends yet or blocked it. I have 2 things I need to block. So those will get blocked, and then he'll have a sweater. I'll take pictures and I'll put them on. We'll have it on Instagram because he is super happy when he gets a new sweater, Mr. E. Here I was so ambitious. I thought I was going to finish 8 rows of ribbing before 9 o'clock, but I don't think that's going to happen. That's okay. I will finish the rest of these 8 rows this week, which is not anything different than what I'm doing. 8 rows is 1 inch. I'll make sure it's 1 inch. Looking at this now. I don't know if you can see it. See? It's looking nice. Good 1x1 ribbing. Nice. And then this aqua color. So I'll finish the rest of this collar this week. And then I'll pause. And I'll wait to join you guys next week, where we will, let's take a look at the pattern. Where we will move on to next round, right? There's one round that's where you do some just increases all the way around. So we'll talk about that. And then we have marker setup, and that is where we place our raglan markers. Those 4 points all the way around the sweater where our increases will be for the rest of the yoke. So we'll get into the raglans. You'll see how I do the increases, all that kind of stuff. And we'll be off and into the yoke. And I'll probably switch from these after a little bit. After a little bit on the raglans, after I increase a few times, I'll be able to switch off of these DPNs and onto, or flexi flips, which are an option for DPNs. I'll be able to switch off of these and onto a 16-inch circular. So I will also have my 16-inch circular with me. I will remember to bring my Cocoa Knits stitch markers. And yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into this rainbow because that's going to be super fun. Yay. But that'll be next week. Now it's 9 o'clock. It's time for me to go dance practice, actually. But I hope you guys enjoyed this and you had a fun time. Thank you so much for chatting. It was super fun. Thank you so much, Kathleen, for moderating. I really appreciate it. And answering everybody's questions as we went along. And appreciate you all being here. Hope to see you next week. If you're starting your flax, this will be saved on YouTube, so you can watch it anytime you want. If there was questions that you had, feel free to add those down in the comments section, and I'll pick them up and answer them during next week's session. Sound good? Hope you all have a great week. Bye.